Yes boys, so in this video I'm going to show you exactly how to lose body fat. So last year I went from looking like this to looking like this. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of confidence in what I'm saying. So when it comes to fat loss, the number one key element is being in a calorie deficit. But what even is a calorie deficit? So every single day your body burns a certain number of calories, which can be known as your TDEE, which is your total daily energy expenditure. Now, this is made up of 4 different things. First of all, you've got your BMR, which is your basal metabolic rate. So this is going to be if you're laying in bed doing absolutely nothing all day, your body will burn a certain number of calories to keep the lights on. Secondly, you've got your NEAT, N-E-A-T, which is your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Now, this could be anything from talking, from moving my hand, from raising my eyebrows to bouncing my leg. Could be anything. But that will make up a certain percentage of your total daily calories burn. Next up, you've got TEF, which is going to be thermic effective food. Now, this is the process of actually digesting the food that you consume. And lastly, you've got EAT, which is exercise activity thermogenesis, which in the name, of course, is exercise. So using the link below, put your details into that calculator. It will then give you a maintenance calorie number. Run the maintenance calories for a couple of weeks, track your body weight and see how it reacts, and of course, make adjustments from there. Of course, if you want to specifically lose body fat, you're going to have to be in a calorie deficit, which means eating less than your maintenance calories. So the number of calories you want to be in a deficit by does depend person to person. So of course, if you're just a person who wants to generally have a better lifestyle, it's going to be different from somebody who's doing a bodybuilding show. If you just want to get lean for a holiday, it's going to be different than if you want to get lean for a holiday next year. You can have a different process. So usually I would say anywhere between 200 calorie deficit to 500 calorie deficits average. There is extreme ends, which is called an aggressive cut, where you would do sort of 1,000 calorie deficits or more, which is usually what bodybuilders would do. But for now, start off small and then slowly increase it depending on how your weight gets on. So being in a calorie deficit will definitely be the most important factor when it comes to fat loss. However, there's a number of other concepts we can get into shortly, but number one is going to be your calories be all and end all. Okay, so we've spoken about calorie deficit, now we need to talk about the step below that, which is your macronutrients. Now, if you don't know what a macronutrient is, you've got 3. You've got carbs, fats, and proteins. So if you're just a general person who doesn't really go to the gym, just wants to lose a little bit of fat, you don't need to worry about this massively. However, if you're someone who's in the gym quite a lot, you need to pay a bit more attention to this. Me, myself, what I do is I have a very high protein amount. I have a decent amount of carbs and a decent amount of fats. However, the main focus of my diet is protein, because protein helps with muscle repair, muscle protein synthesis, and it helps me build and repair my muscles after I've trained. So the main focus sort of my diet is protein. Now, there is, of course, carbohydrates you need to pay attention to and fats. But for me at the moment, protein, I'm getting around 210 grams of protein in per day. So the usual person, as I said, the person who doesn't really train too much and just wants to lose a little bit of body fat, doesn't need to pay as much attention to your protein intake as I would. However, you do need to still pay attention massively. So when it comes to protein, there is a number of studies and a number of ranges you would see online. Me personally, I have 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, which takes me to roughly where I am at now. Now, you may want to use that number, which if you're someone who goes to the gym every day, use it. However, for the normal person, you can just use a gram of protein per pound of body weight. Yeah, so if you're 160 pounds, have 160 grams of protein. That's just a little benchmark you can work with it. Now, you do need to pay attention to carbs and fats still. Don't just have 210 grams of protein and then not eat anything else. Carbs and fats are going to help with obviously your training and overall health in general. So don't neglect them and still get your carbs and fats in. So you're in a calorie deficit, you're eating a nutrient dense, high protein diet. Now what is next? For me, the third most important thing I'm going to say is your sleep. Now, this might be one where you overlook it and you think that doesn't matter too much about losing body fat, but I promise you it does. Now, there's a number, I'm not a scientist, I don't know the exact studies, but there is a number of studies out there which show the effects of sleep on performance, on body composition, and a load of other things, but please don't neglect your sleep. So me personally, I try to have a solid routine. I have an app on my phone which actually sets my sleep schedule, which I'm going to get up right now. So you can see there my sleep schedule. So I go to bed every day at about 10:15 and then get up at 6:45. So that's 8.5 hours. Now, you don't essentially need 8.5 hours every day, but what I would say is at least get 7 hours, and anything above 7 hours is fine. Anything over 9 hours, I tend to feel a bit like shit, and I tend to feel even worse than I did if I would have had like 6 hours, for example. But that's just me. But anyway, sleep needs to be a priority, no matter what. So third on the list is going to be sleep. Now, number 4 on the list in terms of what is most important to losing body fat is going to be training. Now, you're going to probably be watching this thinking, why is training so low? Why is it number 4 on the list and not number 1? Now, if you go back to the chart we've seen at the start, you will notice that your exercise activity thermogenesis only actually makes up about 5% of the calories you burn in a day. So if you're just a general person who doesn't really go to the gym and just wants to lose some body fat, it's not going to be top priority of your list because it doesn't have that much effect on the calories you burn. However, of course, if you're a gym goer, it's going to be high on your list. But for the average person, it's not going to be number 1, number 2 on your list. So it's 4. Now, we're going to get into training on a bit of a more deeper level, of course, because it's a gym account and we love going to the gym. But why do you actually need to do training, and specifically resistance training, and why does that help with body fat loss? Simply put, the more muscle you have, the more energy your body will burn, of course, because it's got more muscles to fuel. The higher amount of muscle you have, the more calories you've got to burn. Simple as that. Now, people, especially women, tend to stray away from resistance training because they think it's going to make them look bulky, look sort of manly and masculine, but that is not the case. It's not the case that you're going to lift some weights and you're going to turn into Arnold tomorrow. It's just not going to happen. You need to be resistance training, and even if you're an elderly person over the age of, 60 or so, you still need to be resistance training. It helps with overall health, overall heart health, and you will just feel better generally, and of course it helps with body fat loss. Now, let's just go away from the average person and get more niche into bodybuilding. So there's a number of aspects we can cover here. So first of all, you've got what you actually need to be doing in the gym to lose body fat. Okay, so I am in the middle of my cut, coming towards the end of it, and so far I've started at 89 kilogram and I'm now down to 82 kilograms, which of course is a 7 kilogram loss. So what have I been doing in the gym to lose body fat? Nothing special. The same thing I did to put on muscle in my bulk, I've been doing to lose fat in my cut. Nothing changes. You might be thinking, alright, I thought you might have been doing some crazy exercise, some crazy ab workouts and stuff to lose body fat. No. You need to be doing what you was doing when you was bulking and putting muscle on. Now, here's the reason why. If you decide to change the way you work out, say I was bench pressing for 100 kilograms on my bulk to try and put muscle on my chest, but then I start to cut and I think, I'm just going to drop the weight because I'm cutting and I'm going to do less reps, I'm going to do higher reps and less weight. I'm just going to take it nice and easy. Well, if you do that, you're going to lose muscle tissue. The way that you maintain your muscle tissue is by doing the same thing you did to grow it in the first place. Now, this can be difficult when you get into a deep phases of a cut because simply you just don't have the fuel that you had when you was bulking, but you need to try and maintain your strength levels the whole way through your dieting phase. So I'm there right now. Luckily for me, I'm sort of struggling, but I am holding my strength levels at the moment. Now, the moment this starts to fall off, I will be probably towards the end of my cut, which at that point, I'll have to just make a little bit of a sacrifice in terms of strength. But when it comes to body fat loss specifically, you don't want to change anything you do with your training. However, the one thing that you might want to add into is cardio. Now, cardio is something I would advise to do no matter the dieting phase for overall health. So whether you're bulking, whether you're maintaining, whether you're cutting, I would always advise to do some sort of cardio. Now, this could just be walking. When I say cardio, I don't mean doing a marathon, I don't mean doing 100 meters sprints, I don't mean doing, I don't mean doing some sort of high intensity training. I just mean getting your steps in, going on a light cycle, going on an incline walk, doing something to help your heart and help your cardiovascular systems. So you need to be doing your cardio. For me at the moment, I'm doing 15,000 steps a day, which is probably on the high end for most people, but I would usually aim for around 10,000 per day. So that's the only thing I would really change when it comes to my training. Now, number 5, and this is bottom of the list for a reason, supplements. So you will see people online saying, take this supplement and you will become Ronnie Coleman. Take this supplement and you'll become Sebum. Just please, just focus on the other 4 and don't prioritize supplements. But we are going to talk about supplements and the supplements that I take and what you should take. Now, number 1 supplement on the list is going to be whey protein. So I'm going to show you the one that I use later in the video after we go to the gym. But number 1 is going to be whey protein. Now, why do I say whey protein? It's so easy to consume and it's got high protein intake. It's not some sort of superfood. It is just, as we spoke about, it's a macronutrient. You want to have a high protein diet and this helps you hit your protein goal very easily. And it tastes like a milkshake and tastes amazing, especially if you're on a cut and have got some cravings. Number 2 is going to be creatine. Now, you probably have seen videos online that saying that creatine causes hair loss, creatine does this and that, but it's bullshit. Take creatine at 5 grams per day. You again might see some people online saying to do a creatine loading phase. Just don't do that. Just have 5 grams per day. You'll be fine. Creatine is naturally produced in the body, and just doing this just tops up your creatine levels. Now, it is found in red meats, however, the amount of red meats you would have to eat to get an adequate amount is insane. So supplementing it with creatine is amazing. What I do is every single morning I will have this. Now, what even is this? This is electrolytes. So it's got sodium, potassium, magnesium, and I just put my creatine in here, 2 litres of water, and you can't even taste it. And it's unflavoured anyway, but you can't even notice that it's in there. So every single morning I have electrolytes, that was a loud bang, and creatine. So that is my number 2 supplement. Now, the rest of the supplements I take, I'm going to show you in a second, but they are not ranked. So there's not one I would rate better than the other. I'm just going to put all these ranged from 3 onwards. Okay, so very quickly, I take ashwagandha, zinc and magnesium, multivitamins, vitamin D3, and lastly, I have omega-3s. Now, they are the supplements I take. There's a number of reasons to take them. I'm not going to break down every single one, but the ones I would advise to take the most, all of them, of course, because I take them myself. But if you're just someone who's new to supplements, I wouldn't even bother with them yet. I would just focus on the first 2, and then that's that. So they are the 5 pillars of body fat loss and what you can use and implement to lose body fat. We're going to go hit a chest and shoulders workout very shortly, so let's get into that now.